Something sellers always ask me is, should I just accept the first offer? The answer isn't always just yes or no. There's a lot of factors that go into it. I'm Danielle Waldera, a local realtor in Harford County, Maryland, and today we're going to talk about if you should accept your first offer. Accepting your first offer is not necessarily a mistake. It really does depend on what type of market that we're in, so lean on me to give you guidance. I hate leaving an offer at the table. I hate that. I hate when an offer comes in, even if it's not exactly what you want, my gut wants to try to make it what you want. Instead of just saying, no, shoo. Let's try to make it what we want it to be, right? There's always room for negotiation. That's my job. I'm an expert negotiator. That's why you have me. Instead of getting offended or wanting to say, I don't want this offer, it's crap, or let's just take it, I don't feel like doing this anymore, I don't feel like going through this. Okay, I hear you. And ultimately it's your decision, right? Not mine. But I am here to negotiate on your behalf. So let's try to make the first offer what you want your first offer to be, and then you won't feel so much turmoil about it. It'll be exactly what you wanted. If you got an offer quick, you did all the right things. I'm here to market. I'm here to make your house look beautiful, right? I'm going to do all the right things regardless. But you did all the right things if you got a quick offer. You made your house show well. You cleaned it up nice. You put all the toys and the clutter away. You did the curb appeal. You did that. You made your house look amazing. You should be very proud of yourself for having a house that is so coveted. I just put some shine on it, right? I put the marketing materials out there. I made it look the part. I made it show the part. I made people want it, but you did the work. And if you get a quick offer, we priced it right and you did the right work. There are a lot of different factors that go into an offer. We're going to talk about what's most important to you as the seller beforehand. So it's not all about price. Price is important. It's very important. And it's one of the biggest factors, right? Because you're going to have a next step after this. So whether that next step is buying a new home, a bigger home, a smaller home, moving in with family, whatever it is, you still need as most money as possible out of this house. And there's never a time where that's not what you're looking for, right? So money is very important, but there could be other factors. Maybe you need a little time. Maybe you need to stay there for 60 days while you get some things in your life situated, but now's the best time to sell. So you want to sell now and then kind of hang out for 2 months while you figure out your next step. Maybe inspections are the most important thing to you. You know, maybe you've done some recent updates, but you don't have a lot of cash flow to give after inspection negotiations, so you're looking for a buyer to limit what type of inspections that they do. Just make your life easier. Maybe if your life was easier, you would take a little bit less money, depending on what that looked like to you. So we're gonna have those conversations up front about all the aspects of an offer and what's the most important thing to you, because money is always going to be at the top of the list, but what else? What else is most important to you? Financing is a huge part of the terms. When you get an offer, we're going to talk about what type of financing it is. I'm going to make sure I have a good conversation with the lender, if there is one, to determine if they've vetted their client, their buyer, if they've pulled their credit, if they've vetted their income, I'm going to have full conversations with these lenders before presenting you the offers to make sure that I'm presenting you all the information that I have on this buyer. Because that's really important. You want a buyer who's financially stable, who's going to be able to complete the transaction from start to finish. So I'm going to do everything I can in the legwork to make sure I have as much information as possible to give to you so that you can make your best decision and your most educated decision. If the offer isn't everything that you wanted, there could be room for negotiation. If you get an offer and the terms are exactly what you would want, what we talked about, what we discussed, you may want to take it. And like I said, this is your adventure, not mine. So it's your decision what you want to do. I can't influence you, but I can negotiate with you and on your behalf, right? So when we have a conversation about what you want, and what's most important to you, you don't have to feel like when these offers come in that you just have to take them yes or no. There could always be a little bit of back and forth. And sometimes in that back and forth is when we find out who your best buyer is. Because sometimes we're looking to make tiny shifts, tiny pulls back and forth. Let's say we have 3 offers. We ask each offer for a tiny little pull each way. One of those offers says, I don't want this house enough to raise my price by $4,000. That might show you that that buyer was never going to complete the transaction, because after inspections, they might have just come back to you anyway and said, you know what, this is too scary. If they're not willing on a house purchase, on a $400,000 or $500,000 purchase to shift by a few tiny thousand one way or another that really wouldn't impact their payment over a 30-year period, they might not have never been your buyer in the first place. So, I mean, those are thoughts that you could have, but through tiny negotiations and pools, you're kind of able to see who your most committed person is, and that's what you're looking for, really. You're looking for money and good terms and good settlement dates and, good inspections. You're looking for all those things, but you're really looking for commitment. And some buyer who's going to love your house the way that you love it and who's going to get you to the table so that you can get your money, because that's what you need. You need your money to move on to your next step. If we can make small requests across the board and see who's really in it to win it, you'll find out who isn't in it to win it quickly when the buyers start dropping and say, oh, I don't want to pay you $2,000 more over a 30-year period, $5 extra a month. I don't often see people pass on a first offer that's really good. What I see instead is sometimes the market telling my sellers what they're going to get and a little bit of frustration in that. Let's say we price them at $350, right? And we get an offer pretty quickly and it's $350, but it's contingent on a home sale. And my seller says, oh, I don't want to do that. I don't want to wait for them to sell their house. It's too risky. I don't want that. And this is actually a real experience that happened recently. Okay. You don't have to take any offer, right? This is your house. This is your adventure. You don't have to do that. Okay. No, I want to wait. I want to wait for another offer. Okay. So then a week goes by and we get another offer and it's another contingent offer. I don't want to take a contingency, the seller says. I already said I don't want a contingency. I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to deal with someone else's house. I don't want to deal with someone else's problem. Okay. But maybe the market is telling us that your buyer is coming from another situation, right? So maybe the market is telling us that your house is like a move-up house, right? And they need to sell this house that they're living in order to afford yours. And if you're getting multiple offers that are similar terms or similar price or similar condition, the market is telling you that that type of buyer might be your buyer. You still don't have to listen. You can do whatever you want. But if you're getting 2 or 3 offers that are very similar, we're going to have a conversation about what the similarities are and why they're there and what maybe things that I can suggest you to do if you want to move forward with one of those to protect yourself, or if we want to start negotiating, or if we want to take a breath, and think of other options. My biggest piece of advice when you start getting offers in is to work with what you have. The grass is not always greener on the other side. Work with what you have in front of you, and we might be able, through negotiations, to get you what you want. Don't be frustrated. It's okay. People are always going to shoot their shot. You know, you can't hurt them for that. They're doing their job, right? It's their job to shoot their shot, but it's our job to make sure we get you what you need. It's our job to make sure you end where you're looking to end. And you should. And if that's the expectation that we talked about in the beginning, that I feel like you're going to end within this price range, we're going to end within that price range, right? Like I have every ability to get you there. If a buyer's offer comes in and it might not be exactly what you were looking for, don't be frustrated. We have negotiations for a reason. We can do some negotiations to get you where you need to be and to get everyone what they need. If the buyer has needs, it doesn't mean we're going to say, no, absolutely not. But maybe we can give you those needs if you give us our needs, right? Because negotiations is about getting everyone what they need and not maybe one person feeling like they dominated a win. Instead, it's having everyone feeling like they won a little bit and it was fair. That's how I feel like negotiations should be treated. I don't feel like any one person should be sitting at the table feeling like I just dominated this entire situation. That's not I don't think you should feel good about that. Thanks for watching. If you learned a little bit today and liked what you saw, like, comment, share, and continue and stay with me for the next video.